Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and today we have an amazing show considering we are only two days ahead of El Clásico FC Barcelona Real Madrid, the arguably one of the most important and interesting games of the season, of course. And although it is going to be a very unbalanced El Clásico, the most unbalanced El Clásico I have seen since, I don't know, maybe 2007 or something like that. Let me tell you, it's always challenging, it's always interesting, and regardless the position the teams are occupying in the standings, they will be willing to give everything they got in this kind of games. This game is completely different story. It really doesn't matter what you have been doing so far, because a FC Barcelona Real Madrid, every single El Clásico is exciting because every single player wants to play these kind of games. And of course, all of them, they will be giving everything they got and 200% of themselves. So I'm assuming that is going to be a very exciting game. The other good news is that we are going to see the stadium, the FC Barcelona stadium, full, plenty of people there, because it'll be allowed for the people to show up in the stadium and watch the game, which is, I think, is the first time since before COVID we will see another El Clásico with public in the stadium. I think I'm right, and because it's going to be the 100% of the stadium allow for all the public to come up and celebrate and cheer up and have fun in this El Clásico. So it's going to be exciting, but of course, like I said, it's one of the most unbalanced El Clásicos that I'm going to see, because right now FC Barcelona, as you know, they are struggling every single game. Their style of playing is not convincing at all. They have a lot of problems, so many problems every time they have to try to get the 3 points. The other day against Dynamo de Kiev, they had a lot of problems as well. So every single game for FC Barcelona is literally a struggle. Whereas for Real Madrid is right the opposite. Real Madrid is right now in the top. We feel in a kind of hype. We are like skyrocketing, going up. And right after the game against Shakhtar Donetsk, 0-5, we are in the best moment to showed up in Barcelona and try to win and get the 3 points. To me, we are the favorite ones, and there shouldn't be big deals and big troubles for us to win the game and to win the El Clásico and get the 3 points and keep topping the standings. But let's see what happens, because these kind of games are always completely different story, regardless what you are doing so far or what you have been doing so far, and in La Liga. So I'm gonna give you a couple updates, because are the most interesting updates that I have for you all, and I wanted to share with you all and of course let me know your thoughts about that, because your participation in this channel is very important. Let me give you some updates, very interesting. I'm going to start with Carvajal and Eden Hazard. As you know, yesterday during an interview, Carlo Ancelotti said something really interesting for Los Madridistas regarding to Eden Hazard and Dani Carvajal. They will be available for El Clásico, okay? That is so good, because as far as Dani Carvajal is the only natural right back that we have in the squad, so he might be in the starting 11, and then Eden Hazard, it is completely recovered, full recovered, and he will be available for Carlo Ancelotti to play against FC Barcelona. However, there is a problem with that. Carlo Ancelotti, according to this article that came out this morning in Bernabeu Digital, Carlo Ancelotti doesn't want to take any risk. He doesn't want to jeopardize the recovery of both players, and he is not going to, presumably, he's not going to line them up in the next game against FC Barcelona. So the thing is, they will probably start in the beginning of the game from the bench. They won't be featured in the lineup, and to me that makes a lot of sense, because you have to keep in mind there is still a long season ahead. There is, the 70% of the season is still ahead of us, and you can jeopardize the recovery of these players who are very, arguably very important players, just for playing one single game, because that is exactly what it is. It's just a single game, another 3 points, and you can go and say, okay, let's put these guys and see what happens. What can happen actually is, again, to see how Dani Carvajal or even Eden Hazard get back to injury, and of course that is something we don't want to see again, because for us it's very important, but for them it's even more important because they don't want to miss any other single game. They have been missing the beginning of the season for so many multiple injuries and stuff, and there's no point in taking all the risks and putting them again in the lineup and then miss them for another 3 to 4 months. That is a completely nonsense. So to me, I am okay with that. I agree with Carlo Ancelotti if he decides to leave them on the bench and see, depending the result, depending the score, how the match is going on and stuff like that, then you probably can use them, right, in the second half or something like that, maybe in the last 20 minutes or something like that, but that's it. And one more thing, according to Defensa Central, medical staff from Real Madrid have recommended to Carlo Ancelotti not to use above 20 minutes to Eden Hazard. So 20 minutes is the cap for the Belgian player. So beyond that, we might find a lot of troubles in the player again, and he might get injured again. So it is better if we use Eden Hazard, but not up to 20 minutes. That would be take a lot of risks, and of course, like I've been saying, it is a completely nonsense to jeopardize the recovery of this player and also the recovery of Dani Carvajal. So that is as far as Dani Carvajal and Eden Hazard. But let me go ahead and keep talking about Karim Benzema. Karim Benzema, didn't show up in the training ground today and yesterday and either today. So that means for so many people out there right now, there are a lot of rumors, speculations and stuff like that, claiming he's injured, he won't be able to make it against FC Barcelona and stuff like that, but it's not true. The reality is the player will be available, right? But of course, he has some minor problems in the ankle, because the other day he had a hit, I think, against Shakhtar Donetsk. But even with that, he will be available for playing against FC Barcelona, and Carlo Ancelotti, what he doesn't want to happen is to miss the player in the last moment. So that's why it is better to save the player in these last two practices, to keep him, completely alone, just with a kind of, active recovery session or something like that, rather than to put him with the rest of the teammates, and then if he gets injured again, then we might find a big trouble without being able to count on Karim Benzema. So it is better if we save him just for the game, because he's experienced enough, he's professional enough to be there even without practicing and without showing up in the training ground, rather than to, send him with the rest of the teammates and then seeing how he gets injured and then we miss the player. You know what I'm saying? So that is better. I agree with Carlo Ancelotti, and I prefer to keep Karim Benzema, completely alone, just working out, active recovery. That's it. Because what we don't want to happen is to miss this player for this kind of game. It's very important. It's so crucial. And of course, that is exactly what we want to happen. That is about Karim Benzema. And I'm going to give you the last update on the possible predicted lineup that Carlo Ancelotti might deploy on the field against FC Barcelona. For so many people out there, I think that I mentioned this yesterday, Carlo Ancelotti will display a lineup that we saw, the same lineup, or pretty much the same similar lineup to the lineup that we saw against Shakhtar Donetsk. The reason for that is because in these kind of games, when you are facing off or, playing against a team like FC Barcelona, who is always dangerous, and of course they will always can win you and stuff like that, the most likely to happen when it comes to the starting 11 is Carlo Ancelotti to repeat the same starting 11 against Shakhtar Donetsk, because it's a very smart way to make sure that the midfield of your team will be secure, will be, quiet, relaxed, because you have players like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, who are very experienced players. They have a lot of hours of flight and they really know what to do in this kind of circumstances or games or challenging games or challenge or whatever you want to call it, right? As long as you have these players on the midfield, you can, it's peace of mind. I mean, to be honest, it's peace of mind. Of course, you are losing some power, quickness, and sharpness and stuff like that. But on the other hand, what you are gaining with these players, it is pretty much just relax, just think ahead of everything, because these guys really know what to do in every single situation. They can control and dominate the whole midfield. And what you are winning as well with this kind of midfield is the back line will be completely solid and stable without any of the players just running back and forth and losing positions and conceding some advantages to FC Barcelona and things like that. So you have two lines, the back line and the midfield. You have two lines completely quiet, relaxed, and knowing exactly what to do every single moment of the game. So to me, it is going to be pretty much the same starting 11 that we saw against Shakhtar Donetsk, and maybe at some point of the game, Carlo Ancelotti decides to for Camavinga to come on the field and try to give more speed to the game. I mean, depending the result, but he might use to Camavinga maybe at some point in the second half or something like that. But to me, it is a very smart decision from Carlo Ancelotti's side to say, okay, I'm gonna display the same midfield than the other day, because to me, it's peace of mind. It is better. They know what to do. They have the expertise to, handle and manage all these kind of challenges and situations. So to me, it is gotta be the same. And in the attack, I don't have to tell you, Vinicius Jr., Karim Benzema, and of course, Rodrigo Goes will be there, will be displayed in the attack of Real Madrid. And I'm not expecting at all to see any other player in the attack of Real Madrid. So that is pretty much my predicted lineup against FC Barcelona. So now let's move forward, let's move on, and let's talk about what apparently is the salary Erling Haaland might be asking to any of the teams that are interested in signing him the next year. According to this information, Erling Haaland is asking for a salary of about 35 million after taxes every single season. Problem is, when it comes to Real Madrid, that is not going to happen, and let me explain you why. In Real Madrid, although we are in a very, very good financial situation, and our finances are flying high and everything is okay and stuff like that, one of the most important things when it comes to Florentino Perez, Real Madrid, finances and stuff like that, and management in general, it is no matter what is your name, no matter how big you are, no matter how important you are, you will never make more money than this. There are different levels for salaries and players in Real Madrid, and regardless, either Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, or whoever it is, Real Madrid is not going to break that rule. I mean, so the salary caps, salary levels will remain the same. I mean, regardless, Haaland signs in Real Madrid, or Mbappe signs in for Real Madrid, whoever it is, all these different salary caps, levels, and limits, and all the stuff will be observed and complied no matter who, or no matter how big you are, or no matter what is your name, all the stuff. So if he wants to ask 35 million after taxes to Manchester City, I mean, they maybe can concede this kind of salary to the player, maybe, but not Real Madrid. I mean, if he wants to try to ask 35 million to Chelsea, they might be okay with that. But when it comes to Real Madrid, that is not going to happen. Real Madrid, of course, we want to sign to Erling Haaland, but the salary we are going to throw on the table, it's gotta be arguably will fall at some point between 20 to 25 million after taxes. That's it. But I don't think Real Madrid or even Florentino Perez will splash the money out of the window to say, hey, let's pay this guy whatever he wants. No, that is not going to happen, because if you think so, it's because you don't understand what Real Madrid is all about, especially when it comes to the finances. You know what I'm saying? So that, I don't know if this is true, maybe it's not true, maybe Erling Haaland is a little bit more flexible, and at the end of the day he says, okay, I prefer to Real Madrid and earn less money that I could earn in any other team, but it's Real Madrid and it's the most important for me. Maybe it's just that, but if so, if this is a real truth that Erling Haaland wants to make about, 35 million or something like that, sorry, but that is not going to happen in Real Madrid, and Real Madrid might rule out the signing of Erling Haaland if they are not strongly convinced about the viability of the operation of the deal, right? So that is not going to happen in Real Madrid. To me, Florentino Perez will throw on the table maybe 2025. That's it. So let's move on. Let's go with the last news that I have for you all, guys, which is about, it's a joke, because it's about FC Barcelona trying to sign Kylian Mbappe, and the point here is Joan Laporta reportedly will throw on the table 90 million euros for the player, to hijack the player to Real Madrid, to hijack Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid and block the signing of the French player for Real Madrid. That is the real intention. You know what I'm saying? These guys can't afford at all to Kylian Mbappe, right? It is almost impossible for them to sign Kylian Mbappe. They can afford a salary like that, and they can't afford a, transfer fee like that. But the real intention behind all this stuff, it is pretty much to block and frustrate the signing of the player for Real Madrid. That is the real intention. It is not a joke, because the most important for them is Real Madrid not to be able to reinforce or improve or upgrade the squad. You know what I'm saying? So the top priority right now for FC Barcelona is to destroy every single possibility for Kylian Mbappe to sign for Real Madrid. And if they have to offer about 90 or 100 or 60 million to the player to frustrate the deal with Real Madrid, they will, because they are our top rivals and they don't want to see how Kylian Mbappe land in Real Madrid next year. But let me tell you something, that is not going to happen. Kylian Mbappe wants to play for Real Madrid, and when a player wants to play in a specific team, there's nothing you can do about that. Whether you're FC Barcelona or any other team, you can't do anything about that, because if the desire of the player is to play in Real Madrid, he will be able to accept almost every single thing. Salary, transfer fee, conditions, regulations, taxes, all the stuff, because that is his dream come true. Don't forget it, because if the thing was about money, then he would probably remain in PSG, because they are putting on the table a lot of money to renew his contract, but he's saying no, he's not going to stay in PSG. And the reason for that is because he wants to play in Real Madrid. That's it. That's it. So no more beef, no more drama, no more story, no more jokes, please. And of course, this news is something that is not going to happen, and FC Barcelona is not going to sign Kylian Mbappe at all. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below. And of course, subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.